You're talking to the Rolex wearing, diamond ring wearing, kiss stealing, woo, wheeling dealing, limousine riding, jet flying, son of a gun, and I'm having a hard time holding these alligators down. Woo!
You are watching the leaders in full immersion gaming, and this is the pregame show only on the NBL Network. Welcome one and all to another edition of the NBL Live pregame show, leading you up to this week's Week 11 matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions. I'm OSU, and I'm hanging out here with Project Fat. We got a special guest joining us on the pregame show, but before we get to him, let's talk about an announcement we got coming out this week for you fans of the Building the Franchise series. We got an episode coming out after NBL Live. It'll be coming out tonight. That's right. You're not going to want to miss this. It is the Building the Franchise on the New England Patriots Unisolated, putting that one out. Fat, this is a show that I'm always excited for. Unisolated always puts out good stuff, and it's awesome following along with these teams, these Building the Franchise episodes.
I definitely agree, and like you said, it's a kind of cool look just to see what actually goes into what these teams are doing and how they look at their teams and how they view them and just how just like seeing them go in depth about each team and each show has its own special kind of touch to it as well. So it's definitely a cool view, and I think it's great for people maybe they don't necessarily play the connected franchise to see kind of how it works and what the connected franchise is.
Yeah, you're definitely not going to want to miss out on that one. It will be coming out after NBL Live tonight. Unisolated is working on putting that one up, so you're not going to want to miss that. Building the Franchise with the New England Patriots coming out tonight. You're going to want to check that out. All right, let's get to our special guest. We got a new segment coming up. We're going to be looking at some of those bets out there that are put out by the NBL promotion staff, the NBL MGM and Homer running that one. And we got to take a look at that. We got our good friend Deca Dog joining us. Deca, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
Doing great. Thanks for joining us. Now, before we get to one of your picks of the week, let's talk about the Eliminator Challenge that we got going on in the NBL, one of our internal eliminators. Everybody, for those of you who don't know what the Eliminator is, everybody picks a team each week, and when your team loses, you are eliminated, and you can only pick each team once. You can't just go with the Steelers every week. You got to pick each team once. And I believe we're getting down to the nitty-gritty, Deca. How many people are left in this eliminator here at Week 11?
Well, we went into Week 11 with 4 guys left. As you said, it's getting down to the wire.
It is crazy, and we'll keep you updated on that eliminator as we get going on. All right, Deca, now let's get to the main reason we brought you on. You love looking at all these games. You're a big fan of the NBL. Let's find out what Deca's upset of the week is. Deca, is there a team out there that you're looking here in Week 11 that maybe is primed to pull off that upset, cover that underdog spread, or maybe even come out with a win?
I actually have a couple of them for you.
Oh, boy. Deca going above and beyond. All right, give them to me.
Well, if it was me left in the eliminator, which I'm not, I got wiped out early, I believe I'd have to go with the Saints plus 7.5.
Saints plus 7.5 over the Houston Texans. Texans led by Doughboy. The Saints fighting in that NFC South at 5-4. It's a good team down there. You got any other upsets for us, Deca?
I believe in my mind the upset of the week is going to be the Dolphins overtaking the Pats.
Deca, are you trying to tell me that the 1-8 Miami Dolphins, this same Miami Dolphins that went 0-16 not 2 seasons ago, are going to cover that 10.5 spread and beat the New England Patriots?
I believe he will keep it inside of 10.
Wow, that's crazy, man, and that's a tough game on the road for the Patriots. And the Dolphins, though, is one of the big upsets of the week. So if you're out there betting here on the NBL, you're going to want to keep up with Deca Dog. We're going to have him on throughout the season. Deca, thanks so much for joining us, and we will catch up with you next time.
Thanks for having me, fellas.
Absolutely. Well, that is Fat. What do you think of that one? You got Deca going with the Dolphins at plus 10.5.
Well, it's definitely not the one you think about going in, but I don't hate the pick. I think that the Dolphins are usually play their best games within the division. And as we all know, the Patriots aren't really performing as well as, I think they expected coming into the season either. So I don't hate the pick. Definitely not the one I was looking at, but I'm not surprised that could be the upset of the week.
Fat, was your pick of the week your Oakland Raiders at +8.5? Come on.
I would never do such a thing.
Well, we will see indeed what's going on. All right, enough banter about what's going on around the NBL. Let's take a look at some Week 10 scores. We got a great graphic coming up for you now about some Week 10 scores, and a lot happened in the NBL last week. We saw some big wins. The New York Giants, the big 24-3 win over the Arizona Cardinals, solidifying themselves as a powerhouse over in that NFC East. But the game that everyone is talking about, Fat, it's that Bengals-Browns game, that AFC North matchup. The Browns down 19, come all the way back and win 28-25. And then we're just getting word that the Bengals also dropped a game this week in Week 11 to the Baltimore Ravens. What is going on in Cincinnati?
It's the typical time of year that this team seems to kind of fall apart. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just the fact that they feel like they have to try and keep pace with the Steelers, or what's going on. But yeah, that game was definitely a complete disaster, especially in the second half, to those Cleveland Browns, and they made enough plays at the end to pull out that victory. And it was definitely very, very impressive to see. The Browns have been doing a great job building that team, and they've been very, very patient, and it's starting to pay off for them now as they've actually overtaken the Bengals at number 2 in that division, as well as that playoff spot. And they're looking to make the playoffs for the first time here in the NBL.
Crazy indeed, that comeback coming all the way back. The Bengals, still there are plenty of weeks left, so we'll see how that AFC North turns out. Another game that was big last week, the Lions that went up over the LA Rams 38-3. Game you saw on NBL Live last year. The Rams absolutely walloped the Lions. Lions getting some revenge this year. And speaking of those Lions, let's get to our game today. It is the Minnesota Vikings visiting the Detroit Lions. Now, we all know about the Detroit Lions, defending Super Bowl champions. They're at 8-1 this year, and they're just done their usual thing. Great offense, great defense. Let's take a look at the Minnesota Vikings, though, for a second. This is a team that is at 3-6. They've struggled a little bit this year, and it's all come back to sort of that talk about Teddy Bridgewater, their quarterback. This is a guy that they sort of have tabbed as the franchise guy. He's got 3 years left on his contract, but this year it has been a struggle. He's only completed 9 touchdowns. He's done 14 interceptions, a 79.2 quarterback rating, which is well up from last year at 61.9. Fat, let me ask you, does Teddy Bridgewater have a chance to not only lead this team to a victory today against the Lions, but do the Vikings have a chance with Teddy Bridgewater at quarterback at all?
I don't want to count them out 100%. I mean, there's a reason why we play the games, but I think what they need to do is they got to take a little bit of pressure off of Teddy Bridgewater. They have had an absolutely terrible running attack all year long with Trey Mason leading that charge there. But they just got to do something different. I think that they brought in this big guy, Trey Hackett, rookie at the beginning of the year, and they feel like that maybe, I think maybe they're kind of trying to depend on him a little bit and maybe forcing passing the ball a little bit more often than they probably should. Like you said, that touchdown to interception ratio is not where you want it to be. So I don't want to say that they can't make it happen here today, but I just think it's going to be very, very difficult for them to do if they continue to turn the ball over, because they got to try and keep pace with probably one of the most potent offenses, if not the most potent offense in all of the NBL, in the Detroit Lions.
All right, Fat, before we send it out there, give me your pick. Do the Vikings have a chance to pull the upset in Detroit, or are the Lions just going to run away with this one?
I think the Lions are going to win, but I don't think it's going to be run away with. I think it's going to be a 10-point game, but it's going to be pretty high scoring. And I think a lot of the points from the Vikings are going to come towards the end, maybe when the Lions, play a little bit different game of football on defense, maybe just try and prevent a little bit. But I'm going to say somewhere around 30-20 is going to be the final score.
30-20 is the pick from Fat, and we're going to want to hear your predictions. Get those in on our chat. We will be reading out some of those predictions as the game gets started, but I'm getting word that they are ready. It's a big matchup for the NFC North. It is the 8-1 Lions and the 3-6 Minnesota Vikings. You're not going to want to miss it here. Week 11, NBL Live.
Nobody comes into this house without paying the price.
Not here! Not ever!
And And we are live from Ford Field in Detroit, Michigan for today's matchup between the Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions, Week 11 here in the MBL. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm OSU, and I'm hanging out here with my man, Project Fat and Fat. This looks like a matchup of David versus Goliath. The Lions coming off a Super Bowl victory last year. They're 8-1 this year. They've really been dominant in every aspect. The Vikings at the bottom of the NFC North. You already made your prediction on the pregame show that the Vikings would win, but you're saying that the Vikings are going to keep this one close. How are they going to be able to do that against this Lions offense and strong defense, not to be forgotten?
Well, like I said, I think they're going to try and get this passing game a little bit more involved, and you still can't forget about Bridgewater. Bridgewater has a ton of talent. Yes, he hasn't lived up to that talent or potential, but you can't just sit here and dismiss him altogether. He's got a great live arm. He's got a great wide receiver in Trey Hackett, who's only a rookie, very, very young guy himself. So that's what I think is going to happen. They're going to get the run game a little bit more involved, maybe control the clock. But like I said, I think a lot of their points are going to come towards the end of the game.
And we're going to start this game off, and we're going to get to see that Minnesota Vikings offense led by Teddy Bridgewater come out and try to make a dent in this Detroit Lions defense that has been playing out of its mind so far. This is a defense that is so strong, and one that is strong every year, sort of overshadowed by Matt Stafford in this offense, but they're the number 2 scoring defense, and then the number 4 yardage defense. So it's going to be tough to move the ball for the Minnesota Vikings today. We'll see if they can get anything going. It's going to be shotgun formation, and it looks like Trey Mason is in the backfield. 2 wide receivers left, Hackett and Treadwell. It's going to be a handoff to Trey Mason over that left side, and he's going to get a nice gain, 6 yards there. It's got to be important for this Minnesota Vikings team to get the run game going early.
Well, like I said at the beginning, I think that's definitely going to be what it's going to take to keep up with these Lions, and I don't even know if it's necessarily keeping up with them, but maybe just keep them off the field as much as you possibly can. Control this clock, keep the ball in your possession as much as you can, and don't turn it over because the Lions won't take very long to score.
Absolutely. We'll see if this Lions offense can stop Teddy Bridgewater and this Vikings offense. It's going to be handoff once again to Mason, who's got a nice hole over the left side. Makes a couple man miss. Shake and bake all the way up to the 49-yard line. 20 yards on that one. And so far, you thought that the Minnesota Vikings would come out and throw the ball with Teddy Bridgewater, but they have been running it so far. A nice 20-yard gain on that one.
And I absolutely love what I'm seeing so far. I think maybe they've caught the Lions maybe on their heels a little bit. Great play calls the first 2 plays, and gigantic holes, great blocking for the offensive line.
Shotgun formation for Bridgewater. Once again, 2 wide receivers out to left and Trey Mason in the backfield as he surveys this defense as they're up to the 49-yard line, moving the ball early against this Lions defense. Looks like a keeper on that one, and nowhere to go for Bridgewater. Looked like they were trying to run a little power play to the right side, but Bridgewater had nothing going, and it's going to bring up a 2nd and 11. If you're Minnesota, you got to stay out of these 2nd and 3rd and long situations because this Detroit Lions defense likes to get after the quarterback.
And with Teddy Bridgewater's injury history, why are you running with him there? I really don't like the call. Trey Mason had 27 yards on the first 2 carries of the game. Give it to him again if you are going to run the ball there. But I don't know if I like that play call.
Shotgun formation once again. Bridgewater's going to be throwing it on this one. The defensive line coming, but he makes a nice throw over the middle. It is complete down to the 27-yard line. Bridgewater completing his first pass right there to Treadwell, Laquan Treadwell. Trey Hackett sort of overshadows him at that point, the star rookie drafted last year. But Laquan Treadwell is having a great year for this Vikings team and makes a big catch over the middle.
Nice throw. Great patience there. You saw the linebacker kind of lurking over the middle of the field. He waited, let the receiver get over the top of him a little bit, and it looks like they're going to keep bunching different sides of the formation here.
3 wide receivers over to the right, bringing 1 man over in motion. He's got Trey Mason at the top of that pistol formation for Teddy Bridgewater. They're on the 27-yard line, looking to get an early lead. It's going to be a handoff to Mason over the left side, and he's going to get a nice run there. Going to get 3 yards on that one, but Mason was able to avoid the oncoming defensive lineman and able to get 3 yards and bring it to a 2nd and 7. Ziggy Ansah, first time we've called his name today, but boy, he's a force over on that defensive line.
It's going to take, double team probably all day to keep him, keep his name out of this game, especially getting to Teddy Bridgewater. So kind of watch that, see if they line the tight end up on that side to help with Ansah.
The lanky defensive end from BYU is a force in this defensive line. Bridgewater in the shotgun once again. Low snap. He's able to handle it. Dropping back to pass on the play action. The blitz gets there, and he's able to get the ball off. Incomplete pass, but the blitz was coming. It looked like he just had nobody open on that one. 3rd and 7. If you're Minnesota, you got to think, while they want to get a touchdown here, the last thing they want to do is give up a turnover to this Detroit Lions offense.
And Ansah was able to get the pressure there on the quarterback Bridgewater, and it looked like Bridgewater might have had a guy that was finally getting open there near the sideline. But Ansah able to get to the quarterback and break that play up for an incomplete pass.
4 wide receivers for Teddy Bridgewater, J.E. in the backfield. It's going to be a draw play to a J.E., and that one is read immediately. And I don't know if you've heard of this guy before, but it looked like that tackle was by one Ezekiel Ansah with the tackle. He's been a force these last couple plays. It's going to force the Minnesota Vikings to settle for a field goal. The ball is down, the kick is up, and it is good. And a Minnesota 3-0 lead early. You got to think facing the defending Super Bowl champions, getting that ball first, getting any points out of the drive is huge for their confidence.
Completely agree with that. It's not something that you see a lot of teams do, especially on the first drive of the game. Maybe there's some nerves, and usually the Lions like to come out and make a statement at the very beginning of the game. So great job there by Minnesota, being patient, running the ball. I would have liked them to maybe throw there on that 3rd and long, but maybe trying to catch them off guard there. So I definitely don't disagree with the play call. Great first drive there by Minnesota. Let's see if the defense can come out and get a stop here.
Now we get an opportunity to see this potent Detroit Lions offense led by Matt Stafford still. He's got 2 wide to the left, 1 to the right. He's going to be dropping back to pass here on first down. The blitz is getting there, but he's able to get it off to Gilbert DeGear over on the right side for a 12-yard gain. And Stafford just has a plethora of weapons on either side. This is a wide receiving core that I would consider one of the best here in the NBL.
No, it has to be the best, and the hardest thing to do is cover these guys. You got Ridgeway, 36 receptions, DeGear, 43 receptions, Eric Ebron, 42 receptions. He doesn't care who he throws to. Anybody on this team can get the ball at any time.
Big shout out to everybody hanging out in the chat with us. Meme Machine just joining us. Happy birthday to you, Meme Machine. Happy birthday. We got Tim Hamilton, we got Gub, and we, of course, got Deca Dog in there who joined us on the pregame show. As on first down, it's going to be a pass underneath to Katula, and it is complete. He's going to get up there for a 12-yard gain and another first down. And if it's any indication on these first 2 plays, Minnesota is giving these wide receivers a lot of room to catch the ball, and the receivers are taking advantage.
And it's going to be a long day if they continue to do that. Because the thing that's really difficult about Stafford is he's able to just dissect the defense. If they're not going to send the pressure to the quarterback, it's going to be really tough for them to stop this offense today. So they need to figure out something, get some blitz packages together, and get to Stafford quickly.
Matt Stafford under center once again. He's got 1 wide out to each side. Dropping back to pass again. 3rd straight pass. He throws it out to the flat to Gafford. It is complete. He's going to lose a yard on that one, though. He's going to bring it, or he's actually going to get 1 yard. It's going to be 2nd and 9. But you got to think if you're Minnesota, this is a team that lives and dies by the pass. You got to find a way to stop these receivers because if there's one thing Detroit has not done well at any point, really, in the NBL, it's run the ball.
Correct. And they went out and they got Jeremy Hill hoping to change that, but they haven't been able to do so. But great reaction there by Trey Waynes to get to the flat there quickly.
Dropping back to pass once again is Matt Stafford. He's going to throw it underneath to Eric Ebron. It is complete for a 5-yard gain. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 4, and this is a big moment here for this Minnesota defense. If you are the Minnesota Vikings, are you pressing up on these wide receivers, or are you hoping to jump some routes and give them a little space?
I think you have to right now because a lot of their passes have been short, so I think you got to press these receivers and don't give them a lot of room to get separation.
3rd and 4, Stafford dropping back to pass, looking for a man. He's got a man open. It is Gilbert DeGear once again, and he's going to get up to the 22-yard line. 21 yards on that one. Matt Stafford, his usual accurate self starting out at 5 for 5. Stafford, he's just one of the best quarterbacks here in the league, and DeGear already with 2 catches, and this offense is rolling early.
Well, that's a difficult thing to cover there. You know, you're asking your corner to play one-on-one with one of the better receivers in the game. And like we talked about, they didn't even press up. They gave him way too much space. So you give him a space on a route where he's able to make a cut so quickly like that. And the corner, having to figure out exactly what way he's going because he stuttered there a little bit before he broke out of his route makes it really difficult for the DB to cover that.
Under center is Matt Stafford. He's got Jeremy Hill in the backfield and Ridgeway split out to the right. Burton coming in motion over to the left side. It's going to be a handoff to Jeremy Hill, and Jeremy Hill unable to get anything going. Nice job there by the Minnesota Vikings defense. They were there to fill that hole. Only a yard on that one, but I got to give you the stat here, Fat. Matt Stafford on the year, he has a quarterback rating of 121.8, which is still nonetheless down from last year when he was a 132.5. Does it get any better than this guy?
I'd have to say no, and the only reason why that QBR is down so much is because he's throwing a little bit more interceptions this year than he did last year, but you can't be mad at the production he's been giving you.
2 wide to the right, 1 to the left for Matt Stafford. 2nd and 9. He's able to get that ball off before the hit comes. It is underneath to Katula, only 2 yards on that one. It's going to bring up a 3rd and 7. If you're Minnesota, you got to think, just for your confidence, getting a stop here and forcing Detroit to a field goal would be huge for this defense.
Extremely huge, and you come out and get 3 points, then you hold the most potent offense in the NBL to 3 points themselves. It's definitely a big, huge start for this defense as well as this whole team together.
3rd and 7, blitz comes, he's able to get the ball off, and it is to his big tight end, Eric Ebron, who has been massive for him this year. It is complete down to the 3-yard line, 1st and goal. The Minnesota Vikings gambled, bringing a big blitz, rushing 7 men, leaving everybody man coverage, but Ebron, he's a big guy, and if you leave a linebacker on him, he's going to go up and get that ball every time.
Well, he's got some of the better hands in the entire game. He doesn't drop many passes, but he's got the size advantage on just about anybody that covers over top of him as well. So that just makes it really difficult. But I like the call there by Minnesota.
1st and goal. Jeremy Hill's going to get the ball, and he's going to get it up to the 1-yard line as we're nearing the end of the first quarter. Hill only 2 yards on that one. Crazy to think about Eric Ebron like that, because when he came into the league, one of the biggest criticisms on him in his first couple years was his inability to hold on to the ball, and he's really developed into one of the better pass-catching tight ends here in the NBL.
Couldn't agree more. But you got to try and get Jeremy Hill involved there a little bit more. 2 carries, 2 yards so far, but it's definitely not their, what they're known for in Detroit. But I like them trying to get it stuffed in there with Jeremy Hill.
2nd and goal for the Lions. Ball's on the 1-yard line. Matt Stafford, I formation with Jeremy Hill at the top of that I. Widgeway split out to the left. He's got 2 tight ends over on that right side in Ebron and Gafford. He's going to be dropping back to throw it here on 2nd and goal. He's looking back of the end zone. It is caught by Ridgeway, and then he takes a big hit and drops it in the back of the end zone. It's going to bring up a 3rd and goal. It was a nice throw there. Good find by Stafford, but you got to think this inability to run the ball is killing them, especially down here in the goal line.
Well, and that's a difficult pass to ask the receiver to catch, and I think if he would have hit him between the numbers, it would have been a complete pass, but the fact that he had to reach up for it, the linebacker was able to hit him pretty much as he caught the ball and he was bringing it in, made it difficult there. But yeah, not being able to run the ball in this position definitely makes it difficult.
Timeout called for the Minnesota Vikings as they saw something they didn't like on that one. 5:55 to go here in the second quarter. We'd like to thank everybody for hanging out with us. Week 11 here in the NBL. I believe we're on broadcast number 57 of NBL Live. I'm OSU, and I'm hanging out here with Project Fat as we're calling this NFC North matchup between the defending Super Bowl champion Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. 3rd and goal. Matt Stafford, I formation. Got Widgeway split out to the left. Gear split out to the right. Jeremy Hill in the backfield. 3rd and goal. They're going to hand it to Jeremy Hill. Tries to get into the end zone, and he does. Forces his way in there for a big touchdown there. And if you're the Detroit Lions, I know you're the Super Bowl champions, and you're having such a great year at 8-1. Only loss was to the Dallas Cowboys. But if you're the Detroit Lions, it's got to be a relief to get 7 points there, especially by way of this run game that has struggled so hard.
Right, and that's definitely something that they did go and get Jeremy Hill for, because he is a big bruising back. He's typically not going to go down on first contact. And as you saw there, they hit him before he got to the end zone, but he was able to muscle his way in for 7 points. So let's see how this Minnesota Vikings team is going to react.
11-play, 75-yard drive to get down for a touchdown. Cordero Patterson's going to take that ball in the end zone. He's going to try to return this one. He's up to about the 26-yard line. We'll call it just past the 25. And that's what we're going to get to see, this Minnesota Vikings offense that did actually have some success on their first drive. If you're Minnesota, you got to think that feeding the ball to Trey Mason has got to be their big plan, because he was great in on that first drive.
Well, I was going to ask you that. What was their success? Why did they get down the field so easily? And that was because of the run game. So if they got to come back to it here, trust it, give it an opportunity to open up the passing game here throughout this game.
That's exactly what happened on that first drive. That run game set up the pass game. They were able to get down and get a field goal. Bridgewater in that pistol formation with Trey Mason. It's going to be a toss over to him. He's got a lot of room over there, but it looked like one of his wide receivers who was blocking over on that left side, might have been Trey Hackett over there, just released his block a little too early. Only 1 yard there, but if that wide receiver is able to hold on to that one, you got to think Trey Mason is probably still running at this point.
Well, that was a great play by the DB. He's able to get off of that block there. That's typically not something you ask your receivers to do. They're not known for blocking. But, yeah, I mean, they couldn't get upfield quickly enough, and the DB was able to get off that block and make a big-time tackle there.
Under center is Teddy Bridgewater. He's got Hackett split out alone to left, 2 wide to the right, and Trey Mason in the backfield on 2nd and 9. Balls on the 26-yard line. Bridgewater's going to be dropping back to pass. He does throw it underneath. It is complete, and it's going to be a 5-yard gain, bringing up a 3rd down, 3rd and 4. Catch there by Pruitt, the big tight end over there. Let's see what we got going on in the chat right now. Tim Hamilton, the new owner of the Kansas City Chiefs, saying, got to get heat on Stafford to have a shot. It does look like that if you can get to Stafford, He will be able to, won't have as much time in the pocket because a couple of those pass plays on that first drive were big, long developing receivers just getting open. So shotgun formation for Teddy Bridgewater. He's got 3 wide to the right, 1 to the left, and he's got Trey Mason in the backfield with him. Big 3rd and 4 here for the Minnesota Vikings. Trying to respond. Bridgewater dropping back. He does throw it out to the right side, and it is complete. It's going to be a first down. A nice route there, run by that wide receiver at the sticks, and that's the rookie Trey Hackett over there. Runs a smart route right at the sticks and is able to get forward, get a couple more yards, get him a first down.
And this is the first time I've actually been able to see Trey Hackett in game action. And my God, this guy is humongous. I thought he was a tight end, to be completely honest. But, great route there. Young guy still learning how to run those crisp, and great job there picking up the first down.
I formation for Teddy Bridgewater. He's got Trey Mason in the backfield. It's going to be a play action. Mason's going to roll out to his left. Ansah gets there, but he's able to get the ball off. It is complete. He's going to get down for about a 2-yard gain. Great job there by Bridgewater just to get that ball off to Laquan Treadwell. Only got a long 1 yard there, but he did avoid taking a sack there. And Ziggy Ansah, he's been, I think he's about to build a home in the backfield. He's been there so much.
Well, and like I said before, I said they needed to get the tight end over there to help him out, and they haven't done that yet. So looks like they got Rudolph lined up over there with him to maybe help that tackle out.
Shotgun formation, Bridgewater dropping back to pass once again. He throws it over the middle, and it's intercepted. Darius Slay with the interception, jumping that route, and he's going to take it back to the 45-yard line. Darius Slay, the big man in that secondary for the Detroit Lions, the first mistake made by the Minnesota Vikings. And with how much this Detroit Lions offense has been rolling this year, you got to think even one turnover could kill this team.
Well, and I think that is what I'll call that a Slay play, but we also know that as a splash play.
Everybody out there drinking.
So great job there by Detroit. It just looked like Bridgewater never really looked him off because it didn't look like Slay ever turned to follow that receiver upfield, and he didn't have to. Great job breaking on the ball there by Slay.
Looked like a slight underthrow as well. Matt Stafford dropping back to pass. He's going to hit Ebron underneath on the drag route. Makes a man miss. Looked like that was only going to go for about a 1-yard gain, but Eric Ebron using his shifty speed and is able to get 9 yards on that one to bring up a 2nd and 1.
Something I've already noticed quickly in this game is that you've got Minnesota, who's already missed a few tackles here in these first couple of drives, but Detroit, they don't miss tackles, and that's the difference between great teams and teams that seem to struggle a little bit is those tackles being missed. So that's something that Minnesota is going to have to clear up here in this game.
2nd and 1 for Stafford. He hits Gafford. Stafford to Gafford. That's going to be fun to call all day. Underneath to Gafford on the drag route. He's going to get about 3 yards on that one. It's going to be a first down. Trey Waynes with the tackle. And Detroit is marching already. They're down to the 42-yard line.
Well, and I'm watching this Lions team, man. They're getting ready to set something up deep. They're doing a lot of short passes right now. They're taking what the defense is giving them, but this Minnesota defense is gonna choke up a little bit, and they're gonna get burned deep. So we just gotta wait to see if that's what eventually comes to fruition here.
1st and 10 for Stafford. He hits to Gear over on the out route on the right side, able to make a man miss. It's going to go down about the 25-yard line. And boy, it's crazy to watch these guys work because having only been in this game for about, we're talking about 8 minutes or so as we're getting down to halftime, 2:56 to go. Some of these plays are just so ho-hum, only 15 yards on that one, Matt. As he's going to come out under center, he's got Katula and Ridgeway out to left to Gear to the right. It's going to be a play action, Jeremy Hill, and he's going to throw it over to the left side, and Ridgeway makes a diving catch at the 7-yard line. Stafford had to get rid of that one early, but how did he come up with that one?
They must have been watching some Calvin Johnson film there. I mean, that's you don't see that guy on the field anymore, no longer with the team, but that's a Calvin Johnson-esque play. Great job there by Ridgeway.
1st and goal for the Detroit Lions. Under center is Matt Stafford. He's got Ridgeway and DeGear split out to the left, 2 tight ends to the right, and Jeremy Hill in the backfield. Ebron and Gafford lined up on that right side. Gafford's going to come over to the left. Still too wide to the left. It's going to be a handoff to Jeremy Hill. He tries to cut it back up the middle. He's only going to get 2 yards on that one. And we talk all day, again, we've said it over and over, how much this team has struggled to run the ball, but it's amazing that with all their struggles running the ball with Jeremy Hill, I mean, Matt Stafford is just so good. It doesn't seem like it slows this offense down at all.
Well, and that's what I was going to touch on there is, like you said, they struggle running the ball, but it does not slow their passing game down, which is something that usually doesn't work out for many teams. Well, for most of the teams in the league, they're balanced on both sides, running and passing, but this Lions team, it doesn't seem to affect them at all.
Tim Hamilton in the chat saying the Vikes need to hold for 3 here. You got to think that's got to be a big goal here for the Minnesota Vikings, especially they do have 2 timeouts, and we're at the 2-minute warning here in the first half. Lions up 7-3. Thanks for joining us, everybody, here. Week 11 here in the NBL. I'm OSU, and I'm hanging out here with Project Fat. It's going to be Matt Stafford under center, 2 wide to left, 2 tight ends to the right. Gafford coming in motion over. It's going to be a handoff to Jeremy Hill, and he's got a lot of room over there, and he's going to punch it into the end zone. Another touchdown for Jeremy Hill. He's got 2 on the day. He only had 3 coming in, so he's almost equal to his total for the day. But if you're the Detroit Lions, you're about to go up with this extra point pending as we wait for that one. The ball's down, the kick is up, and it is good. 14-3 Lions on top, and the Bomber and the Lions have talked all year about how their struggles within the goal line. They don't want to have to throw the ball the whole time because it just sets up for turnovers. Well, Jeremy Hill's got 2 touchdowns inside the red zone so far, and that's got to be a big relief for this Lions team looking to defend their Super Bowl title.
5 carries, 10 yards, 2 touchdowns. Like that's a a weird stat line, but they're getting the ball downfield the way that everyone expects them to. But the difference is they're able to finish it on the ground, which is definitely helping them in not turning the football over. And Jeremy Hill's doing his job.
14-3 is your score, and we want to give a big reminder out there that if you're interested in joining the ranks of the NBL, you got to go check out our website. It is at 365.maddenbomberleague.com, also maddenbomberleague.com. We got all the Madden Bomber League things going on. You can try to join. We got our development league, The Grid, which is, I believe, it is full right now. There is a waiting list to get in at the moment, but The Grid, Fat, you and I, we both came up through The Grid, and there are no slouches down there. That's some tough competition in that developmental league.
Well, that's what makes NBL so great. Is not only is their top talent good, but the development guys give you just as much of a game as well, and that's what just makes this league so great. So like he said, make sure you check us out, try and get in there. You're not gonna regret the decision to join us and get opportunities to possibly play on NBL live game of your own.
And while you're out there, you also might as well go ahead and give us a follow on Twitter at Bomber League and at MBL Network. Bomber League is where you can find out all the news and notes going on here in the NBL. MBL Network is where you can find out where our streams are going on. And some of those giveaways, we did a Periscope giveaway last time. We'll be doing more of those throughout the season. On Bridgewater on 2nd and 13 is able to complete that ball over the middle. A nice catch there by Stephon Diggs. First time we've called his name so far. Big gain there to the 47-yard line. Minnesota, 2 timeouts, a minute 15 left. You got to think they have a good opportunity to put some points on the board before halftime.
Well, they need to because, as we all know, Minnesota got the ball first to start the game, so Detroit's getting the ball after half. So I don't think a field goal is going to cut it because they haven't been able to stop Detroit thus far, so they need to get a touchdown to keep this game close.
Shotgun formation for Teddy Bridgewater. He's got Trey Mason in the backfield, 3 wide over to that right side. 1 tight end on the left. Looks like it's going to be a play action to Mason. Bridgewater dropping back to throw once again. He's able to complete it over on the left side, but Darius Slay with a big hit over there is able to jar that one free. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 10, and you got to think that these wide receivers can't take too many more of these hits if they're going to stay on the field the whole game.
And that's what makes Slay one of the best corners in the game is he's a smaller guy, but the way he hits you after you catch the football, you wouldn't expect him when you get up to see him standing above you. But great play there. Nice hit by Slay to break that ball up.
2nd and 10. Bridgewater's going to hand it off. Trey Mason, he's got a lot of room as the Detroit Lions were playing way back for the pass. He's able to get 9.5 yards. He's going to bring up a 3rd and inches. Ziggy Ansah with another tackle there. 46 seconds and counting. Not a lot of urgency. Minnesota's got 2 timeouts at this point, but it doesn't look like they're hurrying too much as his 3rd and inches might be too afraid to give that ball back away. It's going to be Bridgewater under center once again. And it's going to be a handoff to Trey Mason once again, who's going to muscle forward for another 6-yard gain. They do use a timeout, 34 seconds left. But Trey Mason, he's having a great game so far, really tearing up this Detroit Lions rushing defense.
He is, and it's definitely surprising coming in. He was barely averaging 3 yards per carry, averaging well over 5 yards a carry currently right now. And it's definitely keeping these guys in a position where they can pass the ball. And I like the fact that they are not getting away from it being in this situation. But with 34 seconds, only 1 timeout, 37 yards to get to pay dirt, you got to keep passing the ball here as Detroit takes a timeout to give their guys a rest.
Detroit Lions rushing defense ranked 13th in the NBL, averaging just over 58 yards a game giving up, and they've been giving up a lot. Trey Mason so far, but they're up on the scoreboard 14-3 as Teddy Bridgewater's going to drop back to pass here on 1st down. Oh my, a dangerous throw there. Not just dangerous, I'd go silly as that was thrown just straight to Johnson on the defense. Teddy Bridgewater, you got to think he can't make many more of those throws. Don't know how they didn't come up with a pick, but it's going to bring up a 2nd and 10 for the Minnesota Vikings as Bridgewater's in the shotgun once again, 3 wide to the right, 1 to the left, and Trey Mason in the backfield. 30 seconds to go here in the first half, and they're just going to throw a little swing pass to Trey Mason. Makes a man miss. Is only going to get 2 yards on that one. They're going to try to hurry up to the line and get something going as they're now down under 20 seconds to go. Bridgewater, shotgun once again, 3 wide to the right. Play action. He's going to throw it over the middle. It's intercepted, just snagged by the linebacker there. And that is killer. Tahir Whitehead with a great play over the middle. But if you're Minnesota down 14-3, I know you said that a field goal wasn't what they were looking for, but I can guarantee you 0 points is not what they were looking for at all.
Well, that was one of the most athletic plays I've ever seen by a middle linebacker. He bit on that play action. He came down ready to stop the run, but he was able to stop his momentum, turn around, move upfield a little bit, and jump up and pick off that football. So great job by Whitehead, and a very, very athletic play there by the linebacker.
Tahir Whitehead with the big interception there, and they're just going to kneel this one out. And we're going to go into halftime 14-3. Detroit does get the ball after the half. Fat, if you are the Minnesota Vikings in the locker room, what sort of defensive adjustments are you making?
Well, you talked about it before. I haven't really seen them pressing up on the receivers a little too much, and that's one thing you've got to do. Give your defensive line an opportunity to get to the quarterback before he's able to, see what you're giving him as far as zone or man coverage, and give your guys an opportunity just to get to the quarterback, get a sack, or maybe create a turnover or whatever it may be. But, they keep playing off, and these receivers are just too good. Stafford's way too good. So that's got to be the big thing for them right now. The running game isn't very effective except inside the red zone. But outside of that, they just got to play more aggressive with these big wide receivers.
We get a chance to see Matt Stafford do some work once again. He's yet to throw a touchdown today because Jeremy Hill has gotten both of them inside the red zone, but Matt Stafford still having a great day so far. 128 yards total so far. Minnesota Vikings have 105, so they've been doing well, but 2 turnovers have killed the Vikings. That's going to be Matt Stafford running play action. Once again, he's going to throw it over to the right side of the gear. Goes up and snags that ball. Looked like it might have been overthrown a little bit, but he's able to use his length and come up with the catch there. And he's going to get up to the 45-yard line. 22 yards on first down, and it looks like a little more of the same. The Detroit Lions just moving the ball against this Minnesota Vikings defense.
Yeah, and it's tough. We can all sit here and say what needs to be done to stop these guys, but as we know, this Lions team has won 4 NBL Super Bowls. So we can all sit here and say what we think needs to be done, but at the end of the day, it's not an easy thing to do, but they definitely got to play some more press coverage there on these receivers.
This is a Minnesota Vikings defense that has been strong all year against the passes, and it's complete over the middle to Wilson Ridgeway, and he's going to walk his way into the end zone, making some men miss. A little bit of taunting there. I probably would have thrown the flag on that one, but he's able to get into the end zone. Stafford throwing his first touchdown, and they're just going to go up 20-3 as we pen the extra point on this one. We're waiting for the snap on this. What a play there. Great throw over the middle. Ridgeway making a couple men miss and able to get into the end zone. As the ball is down, the kick is up, and it's good as 21-3. Detroit running away with this one, Fat. What does Minnesota have to do to get back in this game?
Oh, well, first of all, talk about disrespectful. My goodness.
It was just rude.
But, oh, my gosh. But, I guess I can't blame the guy. But I don't know, man. It doesn't matter what they do on offense right now. They got to do better on defense, and continuously they're just not doing anything to slow these receivers down. They're giving them all the room in the world, giving them the opportunity to get into the open field, and Stafford's just going to continue to pick you apart. But on the offensive side, obviously, you got to stop turning the ball over. Keep running it. I know it's difficult to do so down 18 points now in this position, but that's what's been helping you get the ball downfield, and you just got to make better reads. One thing I've noticed on the offensive side for Minnesota, they're playing a lot of bunch formation to one side of the field, and I think that's really limiting the options and putting Bridgewater in a really tough position as well. So I like to see maybe try and spread the field out a little bit more to help with that passing game.
We get an opportunity to see this Minnesota Vikings offense come out once again. Before we get too far, we're going to give a big thank you out to our graphic sponsor. That's web3ks.com. They do all of our overlays here. Some of those graphics you see here on NBL Live and our NBL Live pregame show. If you need affordable graphics, you need to go to web3ks.com, leader in affordable graphic design. Big thanks out to the Web3KS team as that pass is completed over to the left side. It's going to be a 2-yard gain on that one. Bringing up a 2nd and 8. This Minnesota Vikings team, though, as you said, Fat, they just can't panic at this point.
No, they can't. They got to be patient, understand. There's still a lot of time left. We've seen comebacks like this before. They just got to trust the process.
Shotgun for Teddy Bridgewater, dropping back to pass once again. Blitz gets there, but he's able to complete it over the middle. A lot of room on that one. It looks like Stephon Diggs is going to take this one to the house for a Minnesota Vikings touchdown, and a great response by this offense. A great throw over the middle. Man coverage, and Stephon Diggs showing he's just too fast, able to get into the end zone and cut into this Lions lead.
Well, Dick's doing a little taunting of his own. I don't know.
I think they were a little offended.
Hey, I like it. I love the competitiveness going on here in this game. Minnesota obviously still down 2 scores, but great response there by Minnesota, and Treadwell able to, get away from his man there in coverage, and then able to get past the secondary, and a long touchdown, something you don't see Detroit give up too often.
What a play there. Cuts into this lead 21-10. And we'll see if the Minnesota Vikings can stop the Detroit Lions at all. I want to give a big shout out to Porter in the chat, one of our mods there. Doing a great job over there. Shout out to him and to everybody hanging out with us here. Week 11 in the NBL. I'm OSU, and I'm hanging out here with Fat for this NFC North matchup between the Detroit Lions and the Minnesota Vikings. 21-10 your score right now. Lions with the ball, 4:40 to go here in the third quarter. Matt Stafford's going to come out under center. He's got two wide, split out to the left, one to the right. And Jeremy Hill in the backfield. It's going to be a handoff to Jeremy Hill. And he's going to, oh boy, he tried to make that man miss, but a big hit by the safety takes down Jeremy Hill. 4 yards for that one. Smith laying the lumber on Jeremy Hill.
Yeah, Harrison Smith, my goodness. Jeremy Hill, I talked about it earlier, being a bruiser back. But, Harrison Smith is also known on the other side of the ball to be a big hitter himself. So that's one of the most fun opportunities you like to watch here on the field, is when you see two big guys come head-to-head, and Harrison Smith come out victorious there.
Did you say bruiser or bruised? Because I think Jeremy Hill's got a little black and blue at this point.
Either way, it's all the same.
Toss out to Jeremy Hill, is able to get a nice 7-yard gain on that one and a first down. Hill 7 carries for 21 yards. Those 2 touchdowns have the Detroit Lions up 21-10 right now, as they're trying to get a little outside run game going. The Lions have been known to really focus on that inside run game, but Jeremy Hill, while he is a bruiser, he still does have some speed. He's able to make a couple men miss and get a nice 7-yard gain there.
Well, and what that passing game did earlier on in the game is now it's going to put them in a position to where Minnesota, I think, is going to expect them to continue passing the ball. And this could be an opportunity for them to show what that running game has. But it's just going to continue to put these guys on their heels a little bit.
Under center is Matt Stafford, 2 wide out to the left, dropping back to pass once again. He's looking over the middle to Eric Ebron, and it is caught once again. Ebron doing so well, running those seam routes, get up to the 38-yard line. Matt Stafford, he's 14 for 15 for 222 yards and a touchdown so far. I mean, what can you do to stop this guy? The Vikings have not been pressing up on these receivers, and they've been giving Matt Stafford time. He's able to complete almost everything. The only one being a drop in the back of the end zone.
Yeah, and I mean, we keep saying it. I haven't seen it yet. They're just, again, right here, they're 5 yards off the receivers. They got to do something different.
Katula coming in motion over to the right side. It's going to be a handoff to Jeremy Hill. He's coming up the middle. He's going to take a hit right there at the 35-yard line. We'll call it a 3-yard gain. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 7. If you're Minnesota, you're down 11 points. So at this point at the 35-yard line, a field goal still has you within 2 points. But at some point, you are going to have to force a punt, because you've really sunk yourself into a hole with those two turnovers.
Yeah, and obviously they're going to possibly put themselves in a position to get Stafford to throw the ball, and they got to make the guy pay. So we got to see what this defense can do.
Rolling out to his left is Matt Stafford. He's going to complete it once again to the tight end, Eric Ebron, just past the sticks. It's going to be a first down to the 27-yard line, and Eric Ebron, he's just shown over and over, 5 carries, 64 yards, why he's one of the best tight ends here in the NBL.
Yeah, and right now it doesn't matter what Minnesota does on defense. They come out in zone, they get picked apart. They come out in man, they can't keep up with the receivers, especially with a guy like Ebron. He gets so much separation because he has such a big body, just making it really difficult right now for the Vikings.
But as we said, there's been no effort to press up on these wide receivers. They're getting free releases the whole time, able to get into this routes. And if there's one thing, is Jeremy Hill gets 2 yards on that one. If there's one thing that's been said over and over about this potent Detroit Lions passing offense, and namely the wide receiving core, they're some of the best route runners in the league. They don't just have the physical capabilities. They're just great route runners. And if you give them room, they're going to burn you. 2nd and 8, pistol formation for Matt Stafford. He's got 2 wide out to the left side. It's Ridgeway and Tagir. He's got Ebron on the right side of that formation. Jeremy Hill in the backfield as we're down about 2:06 to go in the third quarter. Stafford looking to pass once again. It is complete once again to Wilson Ridgeway, just at the sticks, and they're going to give him the first down on that one. The ball's down to the 16-yard line. And Detroit Lions offense showing no signs of slowing down, as the Grid Bengals in the chat pointing out that Matt Stafford has about a 1 million quarterback rating. If they gave it out that high, I think Matt Stafford would have it at this point.
1 million. Oh, man. Yeah, and it's difficult. And they're coming out in a little bit of a different formation here.
The Sonny Weaver formation, the Wildcat for Jeremy Hill, who makes the man miss, and he's going to get out to the outside. Is he going to be able to get there? No, it's going to be 3 yards, and oh no, it looked like that might have been Jeremy Hill down on that one, but the Sonny Weaver Wildcat coming out there.
His favorite formation.
It is his favorite formation. I, in fact, hear him writing love letters to the Wildcat formation and those who created it, because he loves running out of it so much. As we saw on NBL Live last season, Jeremy Hill is down. We will wait to hear what's going on with that one. When we get word, we will pass it along to Gear. 1:41 left. To Gear coming in motion. They're going to hand it off to Treywick, who's not going to get anything here. There, maybe we'll call it a yard. It's going to get up to the 2-yard line, bringing up a 2nd and goal.
Well, and you hate to see that for Jeremy Hill, man. He got hurt last year, missed the entire season. He still got a Super Bowl ring out of it, but he missed the whole year, so you hate to see that guy go down with yet another injury.
He's a guy that definitely wants to play. As under centers, Matt Stafford once again. It's going to be a toss to Treywick over to the right side and just nothing going there. The Minnesota Vikings were completely prepared for that toss play, able to fill the holes. He tried to complete it, tried to cut it back up inside. 3rd and goal. You got to think the Lions are going to throw it out here. If you're Minnesota, what are you doing to stop it and force a field goal?
Well, this is a great situation to be in, especially if they're going to pass the ball, because there's not as much field to cover, which is what's really been difficult for Minnesota to do. But once again, they got to press up, play underneath these receivers, and hope to get a turnover.
3rd and goal, big moment here. I formation from Matt Stafford. DeGear coming in motion over from that right side. He's been dropping back to pass. Once again, he's going to throw it over to the right side. It's over his head. Matt Stafford, a rare incomplete pass. We're getting word from Jeremy Hill. He's going to be out for the rest of this game, but it looks like it's nothing too serious. He's just going to be unable to return for this one. And that's got to be good news for this Detroit Lions team. They don't want to have to go through another running back, namely being Jeremy Hill once again, as the kick is up and as good as a 24-10 game, but that's got to be good news for the Detroit Lions.
Yeah, and that's probably best case scenario there. Like you said, it doesn't look like it's going to be any more than probably the rest of this game. So great news there from the sideline and Jeremy Hill, as this guy's definitely had a better year than he did last year as far as average yards per carry. But good news there, and they don't probably need him for the rest of this game.
He's absolutely having a better year than last year for yards per carry because he didn't play most of the year, and that 0 is, he's doing better than 0 yards per carry this year.
Yeah,
As he's up over 3 yards a carry this year for this Detroit Lions rushing attack. Big shout out to everybody hanging out with us here in Week 11. 24-10 Lions on top. Teddy Bridgewater's going to come out under center. He's got 2 wide to the left, 2 to the right, and Trey Mason in the backfield is going to be looking to pass it once again. They're looking deep over the middle, and it is caught by the big man, Trey Hackett, with a big catch going up for that one at the 34-yard line. You said it earlier, Fat. This guy looks like almost a tight end out there with how big he is.
Right, and then he has the speed of a short 5'8" receiver that maybe did the 100-yard dash in high school and college. I don't know, but great play there by Trey Hackett.
Under center is Teddy Bridgewater. He's got Hackett and Diggs over on the left side. Laquan Treadwell split out alone to the right. Trey Mason in the backfield, dropping back to pass once again. He's going to try to hit Diggs over there on the right side. A little post pattern. It is complete. Bridgewater 10 of 15, 181 yards. He's got a touchdown, 2 interceptions. Although I will say one of those interceptions was just a great athletic play. But those 2 turnovers really are the difference in this game so far, Fat.
Well, for sure. And right now what I'm seeing is they're trying to change up the formations that they were using earlier. And they have – the thing about this team, too, is, between Hackett, Treadwell, and Diggs, they have so much speed out there at the wide receiver position, so they can really utilize that. But you just got to give these guys opportunities, give them field to run with. And I felt like what they were calling earlier on in the game was definitely minimizing that for them. So great job in these last couple of passes, changing up the formation a little bit, giving these guys more room to run. And great passes also by the quarterback as well.
Teddy Bridgewater coming out. He's going to be in the shotgun formation. He's got 3 wide, split out to the left. Minnesota Vikings trying to put some points on the board and cut this to a 1-score game. Sure, they're looking to punch it in the end zone. Bridgewater with Trey Mason in the backfield. He's been dropping back to pass, setting up the wide receiver screen out there to Trey Hackett. But it looks like the blocking just wasn't quite set up enough. Hackett, though, with his size, able to get 2 yards on that one. I think that was just by reaching over, bringing up a 2nd and 8.
Yeah, most likely. He's got tremendous reach as well. But once again, the guy on that play, Darius Slay, man, that guy, he's getting held up by a receiver. And he says, forget that. I'll still take this guy down, and drops him for a 2-yard gain.
Shotgun formation for Bridgewater. Once again, he's been dropping to pass here on 2nd and 8. The rush gets there, but he's able to complete it underneath to that was Laquan Treadwell with the catch over there. He's going to get it past the first down marker up to the 35-yard line. Laquan Treadwell, 4 catches on the game. And something that's been impressive, though, about Bridgewater so far, he's been able to spread it around to this potent wide receiving core.
Right, and he's also shown a lot of poise in the pocket as well. Like you said, under a lot of pressure there. Took his time, let the receiver get open, and hit him for a big gain.
Under center is Bridgewater once again. They're setting up the draw play for Trey Mason, but this interior of the defensive line was ready for that one. He's going to take him down for a 1-yard loss. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 11, but good to see Minnesota not getting away from the run play, even though they're down 14 here in the 4th quarter.
Probably the worst job you saw by the offensive line all day as far as the run game goes. It looked like they might have taken the play off because 3 Detroit Lions in the backfield as soon as Mason got that football.
Brutal. 3 wide, receivers over to the right, 1 to the left, and he's got 2 in the backfield with him as Bridgewater in the shotgun, dropping back to pass here on 2nd and 11. Steps up in the pocket. He's hit as he throw that ball, bounced around a little bit, but it falls harmlessly to the ground. 3rd and 11, and these are the situations that you can't get in against the Detroit Lions defense. 3rd and long. What does Bridgewater have to do to complete this 3rd down? What are you going to be looking for?
Well, I think they're going to have to get him out of the pocket a little bit. So maybe some type of play action boot or something like that here. But they need to get him outside the pocket, give him a little bit more time because they do have to get 11 yards to pick up the first down, and that's hard to do against this Lions defense. So they got to get him outside, get his feet moving a little bit, and give these receivers time to get open.
5 wide receivers, empty backfield for Teddy Bridgewater. Plenty of weapons out there. 3 to the right, 1 to the left as he changes up the play a little bit, surveying the defense. Play clock down under 5. He's going to be dropping back to pass here on 3rd and 11. And he does roll out over to the right side, looking for somebody. He's just going to complete it underneath. It is complete to, that looks like Cordero Patterson with the catch. 4th and 8. You're down 14, and you got to think it's 4-down territory for Minnesota at this point.
Yeah, it's a tough spot to be in there. You ended up having 3 guys on the same side of the field, and nobody was able beyond that.
Looks like they're going to be going for the field goal here with 4:23 left. As the ball's down, the kick is up, and it is good. It's going to cut it to an 11-point game. Fat, let me ask you this. You've been in the NBL a long time. You're down 14 points to an offense that you've really been unable to stop all day. Are you surprised they kicked the field goal there at the 35-yard line?
Well, that's the key. You said it's an offense they haven't been able to slow down all game long. So, yeah, I think you have to go for it there. You want to be able to trust your defense, and I don't want to say the Vikings defense has been playing terribly. It's just the Lions offense is just that good. So I feel like I agree with you. You got to go for it in that position and try and pick up the first down and get that touchdown. 3 points I don't feel like does anything for you right now.
2-4 in the chat with exactly what we're all thinking. Bold strategy, Cotton, and we'll see if that pays off for them. Minnesota up at 240 yards of total offense so far today. They're having a nice day, but those 2 turnovers have done them in. Down 24-13, Matt Stafford in the shotgun. 3 wide out to the right, 1 to the left. He's got Trey Wick in the backfield. Jeremy Hill out for the gain. He's going to be dropping to pass here on first down. Just a little out route to Whistler Ridgeway, who was able to come down with that one. It took about 4 Vikings to bring him down, and we do have an injury down. It is on the Minnesota side of the ball. One of the cornerbacks, I think he injured himself trying to take down Wilson Ridgeway, and we'll find out what that was. But Wilson Ridgeway, man, he is just a force here. We talk about Trey Hackett all the time, but he is a tough guy to bring down over on that Detroit offense.
Well, that's got to be embarrassing if you're a Vikings defensive back there. Not only are you not able to come up with a tackle, but then you get hurt in the process. A rough spot to be in.
Shotgun formation for the Detroit Lions is going to be throw over to Gafford, who throws 2 feet down, falls down to the ground, was able to get 7 yards. Stays in bounds, keeps the clock running as we are under 4 minutes to go. And Fat, I got to say, 24-13, and Detroit's already moving the ball. It's hard to see a comeback coming in this one as the Minnesota had been unable to stop this offense all day.
Definitely, and the thing you got to really notice here, the poise and the smart football plays by these receivers is not only they're catching the ball, but they're staying in bounds to keep the clock running. As you saw Ridgeway there, he had an opportunity to get out of bounds, but he said, nah, forget that. I'm going to pull it back inside, get some more yards, and keep this clock running.
2nd and 3 for the Detroit Lions. He's got Ridgeway split out to the left, 2 wide out to the right. Trey Wick in the backfield. He's going to be dropping back to pass. Corner blitz gets there and brings down Matt Stafford, the first sack of the day. And we got word it was Trey Waynes, their top cornerback. He's got a broken bone in his foot. X-rays came back positive. They're saying it's his toe, but he will not be able to return for this game. And if he's out for any extended amount of times, you got to think the Minnesota Vikings are going to be looking at a high pick in this year's draft. That's a big loss.
Huge loss, and like you said, top cornerback there in Trey Waynes, and he's been playing pretty well today. But and that's a difficult spot to be in. Salt the wound a little bit here in this game.
Pistol formation. Matt Stafford dropping back to pass here on 3rd and 12. He's looking over to the sidelines. It is incomplete. And for the first time, the Minnesota Vikings were able to get pressure, get a sack on 2nd down, and force a punt. 3:08 to go, 4th quarter. They're going to be pinned probably back pretty far as Martin comes out to punt here. He's punting from his own 42-yard line. Let's see where this one goes. It's going to be back inside the 5-yard line. Cordero Patterson's going to return this one. The Detroit Lions have this one covered, though, as he was only able to get up to the 13-yard line. Under 3 minutes to go. You got all 3 timeouts. If you're Minnesota, you do have a chance in this one. That was a big stop on that play. But if you're Minnesota, you got to push the ball down the field.
There's no other option. I don't think handing the ball off to your running back right now is the choice. If Mason's going to get the ball, it's going to be out of the backfield because all the other routes downfield are covered. Outside of that, that's the only time he's going to touch it. But these guys got to get aggressive here. Maybe see Bridgewater make some risky throws, and hopefully it can pay off for him in the end.
Might we see a deep ball to Trey Hackett coming up? The big man is so good at going up for those balls. 4 wide receivers for Teddy Bridgewater in the backfield. Play action to Mason. Ansah is in the backfield once again, but he's able to complete it over on the right side to Stephon Diggs. A 15-yard gain on that one, and the big one, he got out of bounds, and it's going to bring up a 1st and 10. But, man, let's take a moment to think about how much Ziggy Ansah has been harassing Teddy Bridgewater all day.
Yeah, it's definitely making it really difficult for him in this game. But like I said before, I've been very, very impressed by Bridgewater and his poise in the pocket. And our Stephon Diggs having a huge game here against these Lions.
4 wide receivers once again for Teddy Bridgewater in the shotgun formation. Drawing back to pass. Once again, he throws it over to the left side. Dangerous throw there. And a Darius Slay with a great play there. Able to get over there and knock that ball down. It's going to bring up a 2nd and 10. It looked like Slay knew where that one was going the whole time.
Yeah, and I think it's because Bridgewater maybe took a little too much time. Maybe he started on the right side of the field, didn't see what he wanted, finally worked his way to the opposite side of the field. And by that point in time, the DB was able to recover as the receiver had created a little bit of separation. He's able to break up that pass.
4 wide receivers once again for Teddy Bridgewater. McPherson in the backfield, 2nd and 10. Down 11, 2:49 to go here in the game. Coming down to the wire here on MBL Live. Shotgun formation for Teddy Bridgewater. Looking to fulfill this comeback. They got to get points here, though. Dropping back to pass once again, 2nd and 10. He's looking deep over the middle, and it is complete over the middle. And then down to the 38-yard line. Stephon Diggs takes the huge hit and is able to come up with that one. How did he hold on to that ball?
I honestly can't answer that question, but Diggs is keeping these guys in this game. He's got nothing but pride, and great catch there by Diggs over the middle of the field.
Shotgun formation. Bridgewater takes a huge hit and is able to get the ball up. They're going to say his arm was moving forward. It's an incomplete pass. Going to bring up a 2nd and 10. But this team has been over and over talked about with Trey Hackett, but Stephon Diggs is really stepping up and shown as a not a number 2 weapon, but a 1A weapon for this team. He's been great so far today.
Right, and one thing I've also noticed on these last couple of pressures here from the Lions is Bridgewater's got to step up in the pocket, give himself an opportunity, give his blockers an opportunity to come back and keep blocking for him. But he's got to step up. He keeps backpedaling a little too much.
2 wide receivers out to the left, 2 tight ends. Bridgewater in the shotgun, dropping back to pass. He's going to roll out to the left side, looking for anything. He's going to have to go with his feet. Brown chasing him. He's going to get up. He's going to avoid the tackle and is able to get past the 1st down line. Teddy Bridgewater with his first scramble of the day. He's able to get 11 yards on that one, and heads-up play by the young quarterback, keeping this drive alive.
One of the most heads-up plays I've seen in this game, and this game is starting to get pretty exciting here. I don't know what you would want to do if you're Minnesota. I mean, you guys are going to have to stop the Detroit Lions either way or recover an onside kick, and they're definitely getting into field goal range. They're thinking about kicking a field goal, saving that 2-minute warning, and possibly trying to get that onside kick and get the ball back.
Field goal range, field goal does get them within 1 possession as they're down 11. They'll cut it to an 8-point game. Shotgun formation for Teddy Bridgewater. Going to throw it out to the right side. It is complete once again to Stephon Diggs, who's going to get past the line. But, oh, no, and if you're Minnesota, you don't like the side of this. Stephon Diggs going down, clutching his shoulder. 5 catches for 163 yards today, but he is down. We'll get word on his injury so far. But, I mean, I know this wide receiving core is talented, but Stephon Diggs has been so good today. You hate to see him go down, and it's a big loss for this team.
Well, same as Jeremy Hill earlier. Only positive things that happened outside of the 2 minutes, so they do not have to use a timeout there.
Treadwell coming in motion. Bridgewater back to pass once again. Throws it into the end zone, and it is intercepted by Mitchell. An errant throw by Teddy Bridgewater. And you got to think that was one of those ones where it wasn't just an athletic play. It was just a bad throw. There were 3 black jerseys surrounding Trey Hackett on that one. And it turns into a turnover. And the ball's on the 1-yard line. So it probably can't take a kneel. You're probably going to have to sneak this one. But, man, you got to think that probably sealed this game up for him.
Well, that's demoralizing, man. These guys were making some headway, getting down the field, had the opportunity to pull within 1 possession. That's why I might have liked to see maybe a field goal and then maybe try and recover the onside kick after that. But definitely difficult, man. They still have an opportunity, but they're going to have to get to these guys quickly, maybe get a safety, get the ball back, and try and, hope for a miracle here. But, that's really difficult to see as the Vikings were starting to get themselves in a position to make this football game.
Brutal. They lose the star player of this game, Stephon Diggs, and then they end up throwing an interception as that ball is complete. Stephon Diggs, we're saying it's a shoulder problem. He's going to be out for the game. Looks like the MRIs were negative, no tear, just a strain. We'll see if that keeps him out for any games. But if it's something like that, you got to think it's good news for the Minnesota Vikings that it wasn't anything more serious.
Yeah, and that's the most hope you can hope for right now. But once again, there, even on that play towards the end of the game, Minnesota has an opportunity to possibly get this ball back if they can hold the Lions to a 3-and-out. And you see the receiver, after he catches the ball, kind of pushes that defensive back off of him and has a chance to gain some more yards. But his help came to get to the runner there and stop the play. But these Lions are just bigger, more aggressive, and kind of bullying these guys around right now.
2nd and 5 for the Detroit Lions as we are under the 2-minute warning. And be sure to stick around with us. We'll have our NBL Live Player of the Game pick after this game. You're not going to want to miss that one. You can go ahead and check out all of our NBL Live Player of the Games on our website at 365.maddenbomberleague.com. It has all the archives of our players of the game. As the handoff is up the middle, it's going to be 4 yards, going to bring up a 3rd and 1. And, this game does feel like it's over, but if you're Minnesota, you got to get a stop here. Give yourself a chance to get the ball back. A nice 4-yard run there for Detroit.
Yeah, and I think even with the stop here, the Lions are going to have to punt the football, and it's going to put Minnesota in a really difficult spot to once again have to find a way to get the ball moved downfield. But before we even talk about that, they got to get the stop here, and Detroit can do pretty much whatever they want. They're going to come out in a 5 wide here on this play.
Jet sweep run to Katula, and he finds a hole and is able to get up to the 20-yard line, 10 yards on that one. Minnesota only 2 timeouts left as we're now down under. They do use one of theirs, so they only have 1 timeout left, 1:45 left. But that's pretty much sealed this one. Detroit's going to come out of here with a victory at home, and if you're Detroit, you're moving to 9-1. If you are the Detroit Lions at 9-1, are you at all looking forward to the playoffs at this point? You're pretty much cruising at this point, so there's not a whole lot in terms of things to look forward to in the regular season. You're already one of the Super Bowl favorites, coming off as the defending Super Bowl champions. Are you looking forward to the playoffs, or are you still just trying to take this one game at a time?
Well, I think you still got to look at it one game at a time, but you also got to keep the playoffs in the back of your mind. You're pretty much in at this point. And with that Jeremy Hill injury today, once again, we spoke on, it's nothing serious. It's not going to keep him out for an extended period of time as Stafford quiets the crowd there. But it's not
was the crowd that loud at that point?
I don't know. I mean, maybe they're excited they're winning the game.
Woo!
But
it's a kneel down. Let's get pumped.
Let's do it, right? And but that's something you got to think about. You definitely don't want an injury to one of your big name guys, especially somebody like Matthew Stafford. And I hate to say that, and I don't want to be the jinx of it. And if I am, I'm sorry. Please don't kill me, Detroit. But that's something you got to think about. If there was one city
that would do it, it would be Detroit.
I'm sure of it. That's why I'm pleading my case right now. Well, and that's why you got to think about that. That's the only thing on your mind right now is injuries, keeping you guys healthy, because you guys are definitely the favorite at this point in time to get back to the Super Bowl, if not win it. So if I were the Lions, that would probably be the only thing I'd be thinking about at this point.
Detroit used their last time out, down to 1:04, sort of just at this point, all formality, as the Detroit Lions are just going to come out in the victory formation. Once again, the crowd is pumped for the victory formation. Love those kneel downs, the most exciting part of the game. As Matt Stafford, no need to quiet the crowd this time. He just goes down to one knee as we're under a minute to go. If you're Minnesota, you're going to drop to 3-7 at this one. You're not technically out of any playoff race, although the NFC is so tough. Got a lot of teams there at 2 and 3 losses. But if you're Minnesota, are you looking at the draft at this point, or are you still fighting for that playoff spot?
I don't want to give up on the playoffs just yet because, like you said, there still is an opportunity. It's very slim, but, keep playing your game. Same thing. When the season is over at that point, you have some time to get ready for the draft and maybe make some moves, move up a little bit or whatever it may be. But I think they still need to come out and play, be competitive every single week. But at this point, it's going to be a long shot for them to get there.
The kneel down is complete, and they're just going to let this one run out. The Minnesota Vikings not going to take a timeout here, and that's going to take us to our final. The Detroit Lions coming out with a big home win, moving to 9-1, the score of 24-13. But as you said, Fat, Minnesota was able to keep it close.
Yeah, and that's what was most impressive for me. And I said it at the beginning of the game. I called the score 30-20. We fell a little bit short of that, but I called a 10-point game. So, like I said, I was impressed. I think Minnesota, the 2 turnovers, obviously by Bridgewater, was definitely a big key piece to this game. But they got to be able to find a way to slow down Ansah on the other side of the ball. It doesn't make it any easier on Bridgewater when you've got that in the back of your mind. Like, is he going to hit me as I'm throwing this football? So I'm impressed with the Vikings. I think they're definitely close to maybe being able to compete with these guys in the future.
And we will see indeed as to the updates on all those injuries. A lot of big names going down. Jeremy Hill, Stephon Diggs, Trey Waynes. A hard-hitting game, always hard-hitting in the NFC North. But the Detroit Lions are able to come away with a 24-13 win at home to move to 9-1. All right, Fat, it's that time, as always, to pick our NBL Live player of the game. And, for me, I got to give it to Matt Stafford for how good he is. But an honorable mention to Ziggy Ansah. Maybe not on the stat sheet. He didn't have any sacks, had a couple tackles, but he was around harassing Teddy Bridgewater in the backfield all day. But Matt Stafford, he was just too good, completed 86% of his passes, 271 yards. That's 19 for 22, and he was able just to move the ball downfield all day.
Yeah, and I think I have to agree with you. The only other guy I would have been able to even think about would have been Jeremy Hill, but he didn't do too much as far as yards go. He did have a couple of touchdowns in that game, but Stafford once again just picking apart the defense, hardly threw an incompletion. So I think that Stafford is the guy that's going to get the player of the game here today.
Matt Stafford, your player of the game here for NBL Live broadcast. I believe 57 at this point. We've had so many, I just can't count. But a big game for the Detroit Lions as they do come out on top. Matt Stafford, congratulations on our player of the game. All right, folks, we got a game next week. Can you believe it? How many games we got? We're closing out the season. Can you believe, Fat, that we're already down to week 12 here in the NBL? It's week 12 already.
I can't believe it, man. It's great. It's fun to be a part of, and these games get played quick and a lot of fun stuff going on. But yeah, week 12 already, man. It's going to be an interesting run to the playoffs. As there's still some teams that you don't necessarily see in that conversation that are potentially on the verge of making the playoffs for the first time, with those Cleveland Browns after that big upset once again of the Cincinnati Bengals. But, it's really fun to watch, and I can't wait to see who's able to get into the playoffs and once again what those playoffs are going to produce for us.
Yeah, be sure to go ahead and give us a follow at Bomber League. That's where you'll find out the time for our Week 12 game. It's a battle of teams leading their divisions at the moment. It is the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Arizona Cardinals. You're not going to want to miss that one. But that's going to do it this week for us. For our producer, Gibbs, who's doing all those work behind the scenes, and we thank him for that, and my co-host, Fat. I'm OSU. Your final score once again from Detroit. The Detroit Lions coming out on top 24-13. We'll see you next week, Week 12 on NBL Live.